that he was willing to spend every waking moment to gain her and have a relationship with her. And we understand that prior to this, he is running from his brother Esau, and Esau really wants to take him out, but he is running, and so he ends up at Laban's house, and that's when he meets Miss beautiful, attractive Rachel. Rachel has a sister by the name of Leah, and the custom is that the older is always to marry before the younger, Leah being the older. That's why he works 14 years. He wasn't really working for Leah. He was working for Rachel. There's a lot of things that's happened to Jacob that when he was a young man, when you study the rabbinical writings, you'll find that his brothers, and it's even recorded in the word of the Lord, that that they didn't like him. They kind of despised him, which in the Hebrew is hate him, because he was a dreamer, and also Jacob was his dad, which is Isaac's favorite son. And one of the reasons that he is Jacob's or Isaac's favorite son is because he is the firstborn of this beautiful, attractive woman, Rachel. None of us here probably, if you have, I feel sorry for you, I pray for you, have experienced the rejection that Jacob received from all of his, or Joseph, all of his brothers. I'm trying to get my wits together tonight. Joseph had this thing that his brothers despised him, and put yourself in Joseph's shoes. I keep saying Jacob, but I'm sorry, I mean Joseph. That the rejection from his family, or especially his brothers, is just absolutely astronomical, because he can't run and sit on his mother's lap because she is dead. She's passed. The conversations between Jacob and Joseph is possibly conversations that we'll never know, but being an American dad, if I had a son that he lost his mother, how many times would I sit him in my lap and try to talk to him about the beauty of his mother, and then put Benjamin on the other leg, and which is Joseph's baby brother, and describe to him how pretty Rachel was. So we find that some of us has never endured some of the things that Joseph has endured. We've never run into the pit before. We've never been cast into an empty well, hoping that somebody would pass by and get us out. Or the longer we scream and the harder we scream, it seems like the further help gets away from us. And finally somebody comes by one day and pulls him out of that pit. And perhaps you've never been there before. And the memory of his family and the rejection and now the pit is something that he has to deal with on a daily basis. I'm going to talk to us in just a minute, okay? He's being sold. I'm going to make a long story short. He's being sold now, and he becomes a product, and he becomes an employee of Potiphar. He has a high rank that is the Pharaoh that's going to dictate everything that he does. He has no voice. He has no liberty, very little liberty. Has no authority. He has no power. He's been all stripped of that. And Jacob is back home, stroking the coat of a young man that he had prepared a coat for of many colors. And all of those years that Joseph was down in Egypt at Potiphar's house and Pharaoh's under his authority, Jacob mourned to the point that he said, I'll go to my grave wondering about my son. Are you with me tonight? God has a plan. Joseph is going to grow up after 17 years old. Now he's 20, now he's 25, and now he's looking for an attractive woman. He doesn't know what it's like to be cradled with a mother's love because his mother died when he was around 2.5 years old. Struggles with trusting women anyway because all he knows is the rejection of his brothers and the kind hand of his dad that tried to train him and teach him and to love him and to mold him. That's really all that he knows. Are you with me tonight? And all of these years after being 17, going to Potiphar's house, and he'd been in jail and been in the prison, and now he's made friends, and now he's being delivered. God allows Joseph, that the dreamer that he is, come in contact with the Pharaoh's dream. I'm trying to give you a quick syllabus because I got somewhere I want to go. Joseph is going to interpret some dreams that the Pharaoh has. And it's so powerful, and he interprets these dreams, and Joseph is quickly being promoted. But it doesn't help the heartbreak of a daddy, Jacob, that thinks that his son is dead. Are you with me? How many times did Jacob, think about his son in festivals and family get-togethers, wonder how big he is and how he would look, and wonder if he would look like Rachel and have her eyes. You know, she had slanted eyes, and wonder if he has his skin grown up to be a mature man, a robust man that kind of favors his mother. When he left, he was 17, but I wonder now that he's 25, and I wonder how he's looking. I wonder how he's, if he was still alive, if he was still available, if he was still here. But God allows a famine to come. The famine starts to affect the whole earth. God allows Joseph, hold on to me now, to become the man that's in command, that will take 7 years of plenty and store up, and then the 7 years of famine showed up, and now Jacob and all of his brothers are hungry. They have no food. They have a little bit of money. They have a little bit of gold. They have a little bit of trade. But still, Jacob thinks his son's dead. I want to talk to you about a broken puzzle for a minute. Can I? The first piece of the puzzle is called the missing piece. It's when Jacob lost his beautiful wife, Rachel, giving birth to their latest son, Benjamin. Something about this story that intrigues me, because I felt like this week that maybe perhaps all of us, and I'm going to intertwine this in, has affected us in so many ways that our lifestyle, what has happened to us, is like a puzzle that's never been completed before. And the first piece of the puzzle that Jacob seems to have lost is the one that is connected to the woman that he was so madly in love with. And how in the world could he ever live without Rachel? And now the second piece of the puzzle that is missing in Jacob's puzzle is that he has lost his son, Joseph, and he thinks he would never see him again. Some things that happens with broken pieces of the puzzle, because, ladies and gentlemen, I have found out that there's nothing no more discouraging than to have a puzzle with 1,000 pieces that you come down to 998 pieces that are intact and you have 2 that is missing. I found out that there is such thing as a puzzle doctor that can help you find and create the missing pieces of the puzzle. And most of our lives today is just like the puzzle that has the missing parts. Like Jacob lost a piece of his puzzle when Rachel, the woman that he loved so much, is gone, and he buries her, and there's a monument there today. And now Joseph is gone, and what are they going to do now that they're in the famine? What are they going to do? I found out that this discouraging, ladies and gentlemen, that when you have this beautiful picture that is set before you, that you have viewed the pieces for hours, and you have scoped it, and you measured it out, and you put it here and it didn't work, and you put it over here and it didn't work, but now you have this beautiful picture that you have worked so hard for. Now it's incomplete because there's no finishing pieces. The nature of us is to look under the table and see if it's under the table, or look in the toy box because perhaps a child has picked it up and set it in there, or the dog has passed by and picked it up and swallowed it, or take it to his little doghouse. Or we've looked in the washing machine, we've looked under the cabinets, we turned the couch upside down because there's a drive inside of us that tells us that that piece has to be here somewhere. And in order for me to be confident enough to share the beauty of this puzzle that I have worked so hard for, I have to retrieve, or I have to locate, or I have to find that piece of puzzle that is missing. And I felt in the Holy Ghost this week that perhaps most of us, if not all of us, somewhere in our life, we have that beautiful lifestyle and that family and that puzzle, and there's just one piece that's missing. And I felt in the Spirit of God this week that sometimes we'll get discouraged because should we tear it all up and start over? Should we put it in a box and forget about it? Should we label or identify this as a waste of time? Because the puzzle is incomplete because of the missing piece. Oh, yeah, well, call the manufacturer. Proven fact, you can call them all day long. Email them until your fingers bleed. And they will not be able to help you at all because they don't know which piece of the puzzle that you have strove to put together. They do not know which one is missing. And so they tell you the best thing is to crumble it up, throw it in the trash, and let me send you another one. Because our attributes is to think like this: I must have, here we go, been at fault. I must have lost the missing piece. Because no way can a manufacturer ever lose a piece of the puzzle. The proven fact is, as yes, they can, because it's man-made. Here's something that most people do when they call them. They're aggravated because the puzzle that they're placed in front of them is beautiful, but it's incomplete. They tell them, please send me a piece, and they tell them in response, there's no way I can do that unless you take a picture of every connecting piece of puzzle that you have set before you, and let us professionally examine. Look up the numbers and try to piece this together. The better thing is to start over. And most people will say to those manufacturers, proven fact, I refuse to start over. And that is probably one of the most critical statements that you will ever say. Is say, I'll throw it in the trash. Don't worry about it. I'll count my loss. Leave it alone. I'm not starting over. But in order for us in our life to gain the missing piece, God is going to have access to everything that's connected in your heart, everything that's connected in your soul. He's going to have access to every piece of your life in your puzzle that's connected or surrounded the piece that is missing. But the problem is we're like normal people sometimes. We don't want people, and we don't even want God sometimes to have access. So the question bids, is it worth it to continue? Jacob says, I will go to my grave knowing that my son has been killed by a beast, which was a lie all the time. Oh, how many nights did he have a headache? How many nights did he weep and wet his pillow? How many times did he look at Benjamin and say, I wish you had your other brother? But when Jacob moved to Egypt and Joseph revealed himself, I'm just giving you a syllabus tonight, himself to his daddy, you thought I was dead, but my brothers sold me and rejected me. That is the first piece of Jacob's puzzle that he found between Bethlehem and Bethel and Ephrath, all the way to Goshen in Egypt. He found the broken pieces, the joy in his heart, the rejoicing in his spirit, the clapping of the hand and the dancing at the festivals, because he finally was able to be told the truth when Joseph revealed himself to his dad and his brothers, that Jacob said, my son is not dead. And Jacob is happy, and the piece that was missing in his puzzle has come together, but there's still one missing. Still one missing. Are you with me tonight? I have to say this, okay? I want to get to the root of it. Now, Jacob's 130 years old. Pharaoh gives him a piece of property in Goshen. For another 17 years, at 147 years old, now Jacob is laying in his home. Rachel's gone. His other wife, Leah, is buried at Machpelah. The nurses have passed, but he still has intact all of his sons now. And while laying there with his eyes dimmed, his strength has dissipated. There's no way that Jacob could crawl up on a horse and chariot and make his way down to the kingdom and visit Joseph. His strength and his body and his makeup just won't allow it to happen. Joseph is so busy doing what he's doing and ruling in Egypt that he's a vice president of Egypt that he doesn't have time to really go visit daddy anymore. He doesn't have time to go and sit down with Jacob and reveal to him that he has gotten married. He's married a lady from the Egyptian culture. He lineage went unto her and had two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. They don't look like Jacob and the rest of those men. But there's something that Joseph needs to tell Daddy. Because Joseph, there's a second piece of the puzzle missing. And I realized, ladies and gentlemen, watching my mother for years before she died at 45 in Picayune, Mississippi, that there were times that she had missing pieces. And sometimes, folks, those missing pieces would cause her puzzle to look like this. Because it was sometimes that one missing piece that connected multiple areas that when it's missing, it can never come together. That's what happened to Jacob. Nothing come together until he found out that his son was alive, but he doesn't know that he has grandkids. There's 10 men that is going to be connected to the tribes. What about the other 2? Are you hearing what I'm saying tonight? So somebody knocks on the door of Joseph's palace and says, it might be worthwhile for you to go down and visit your dad. He's 147 years old. And your dad is about to die. His eyes are dim. His blood pressure is low. He runs a fever, but he still has his right mind. And I would ask you, please, sir, it's best for you to load up and go down to Goshen and visit your dad, because guess what? He just might pass before you get there. Joseph does something. Can I talk to you now? Just for about 5 minutes. Walks into the house where his dad lives after all of these 17 years of just being so busy. Then when he walks in his house, he has 2 little boys, Manasseh and Ephraim. And he sits down, and somebody walks to Jacob and says to Jacob, Jacob, guess who is here to see you? Your favorite son showed up. Joseph is here to see you, Jacob. Jacob couldn't even raise his hand, but the Bible said that Joseph strengthened Jacob, and turned himself on the side of the bed and hung his feet off and held on to the headboard, if you will. He couldn't see hardly. But the voice of Joseph, the boy that he loved so dearly, said, Dad, how you doing? This is my terminology of not doing well. This is what he tells, and here we go, because it's for the crack us, okay? He says to Joseph, the Lord has visited me at Luz, which is Bethlehem. And he said that he was going to multiply the seed after me. Give me 3 minutes, okay? I got something to say. He said he was going to make me great nations. He was going to accompany me in great cultures and nations, and we was going to feel the land. And I just want you to know that before I die, I want to bless all of my boys. The Bible said that while Joseph sat in front of his dad, hanging on the bedpost, that he could see Joseph's face and 2 little beings standing between the knees, the Bible said, of Joseph. Here we go. And he simply asked Joseph, who are these boys? Joseph so proudly says to his dad, I married a woman from the Egyptian culture, and these are my sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And I brought them to meet you. Here we go. something comes out of the mouth of Jacob that bothers me. You're not with me tonight. You remember the puzzle? You remember me talking about the missing piece? Why is it? And I think I know why. That some of us, if not all of us, has a habit of repeating ourselves. You ever notice that? Watch what Jacob said. Jacob said, Joseph. It's like he had to prove something to Joseph. It's like there was something that he'd been trying to say for years, but he just couldn't get it across. Watch what he said. Joseph. Here we go. I almost had your mother to Ephraim. Why would he say that to Joseph after all of these years? Why would he say that to him? You know what he really should have said? Joseph, ever since your mother died, there has been a piece of my puzzle that has been missing. But Joseph, I owe it to you, son. I owe it to you. Joseph, your mother had hard labor between Bethel and Bethlehem. And I tried to get her to just hold on. But the hard labor come up on her when she delivered your little brother Benjamin, and she died on me, Joseph. Joseph, we were almost to Bethlehem. And perhaps he should have said it like this: if I could have just gotten her to Bethlehem, everything would have been okay. But you must understand that at Bethel, the nurse that serviced Rebecca died also. She wasn't there to care for Rachel. The question that I have is, why did God allow Rachel to die between Bethel and the altar that's in Bethel, in Bethlehem? Why would God allow somebody to be removed? Why would God allow Joseph, the one that has the promise on him and the anointing, to take his mother away from him? Are you hearing me tonight? Why? We probably will never know the gist of it. But I can tell you that I asked God, and I'm done, what do you want me to say about the puzzle? And all I could see was about 2 or 3 pieces of everybody's puzzle that's missing. And you're too ashamed to show people your lifestyle. And you don't feel like you're confident enough to expose who you really are because you have an image to keep. And my puzzle, y'all ready for this? Doesn't look like my neighbor's puzzle. Because my neighbor's puzzle looks like it's all together and it's beautiful. But my puzzle is so incomplete that I'm too ashamed to let anybody see my puzzle. Some people backslide and tear it up and put it in the box and put it in the closet and never think about it again. But when Joseph heard his dad say, "Give me your two boys," the Bible said he pushed him out between his legs and shoved him to the bedside of Jacob. And I'm done tonight. And he put one on one side intentionally, Manasseh, so that his left hand would grab him. And then he put the other one on the other side so that Jacob's right hand would grab him when he puts his hand on their head. But watch what happens. He couldn't see. He couldn't see. But watch what happens. When it comes time to bless him, this is what he said. This is how Jacob found the remaining part of his missing piece. Y'all ready for this? It's when he said to Joseph, "Joseph, I tried to get your mother to Bethlehem before she died. Then, Joseph, I didn't think I'd ever see you again. But the Lord has had mercy." And watch what he says. "And not only have I seen your face, but I have seen your son's face." Watch what happens. Instead of him putting his hands like this, the Bible said he crossed his arms. Would you stand on your feet tonight? He crossed his arms. Joseph got angry, the Bible said, and said, "Dad, don't you think you've got this backwards?" And watch what Jacob, his dad, that's 147 years old, say to him. He said, watch, "I know, son, comma, I know." Well, why are you doing it? Why do you have your hands crossed? He said, "Because you think that the older is going to rule. But I'm telling you, the younger is going to rule. And that's why I switched my right hand to the left side. And the older shall serve the younger." And Jacob spoke those words in the heart of Joseph, the daddy of those two young boys. And he said, "Whatever." And sure enough, everything was closed. The chapter is closed. He gets his boys. He takes them back. He has blessed them. And now he calls all of his sons in. And he blesses them. I'm not going through that tonight. And when he calls them in, watch what happens. When he blessed the last ones, Manasseh and Ephraim, watch what he did. The Bible said he leaned back on the bed and he put his feet in the bed, crossed his arms, and he drew his last breath. You know why he could do it in peace? Because God allowed Jacob to find the missing pieces of his puzzle. And I'm talking to a group of people tonight that the Lord said this week, "I want to deliver." And when he revealed the puzzle to me, I have to be honest, I wept. Because you know what? I have pieces missing too. Just like you have missing pieces. Mine may not be yours. Our puzzles are all different. Some like 100-piece puzzles, some likes 500, some likes 1,000. You can have the 1,000 pieces. I don't have time. But I can tell you, that I've seen some of the smallest puzzles spread on the table. And just like putting the puzzle together, God begins to take us on our journey. That we take on this side, we put all the straight edges over here. Because we know that in this process, that all the straight edges is going to connect some way, somehow. That's the easy part. But it's when you have 900 pieces here that's upside down, turned over on each other, face to face. They're all different kind of shapes and sizes and forms and different colors and trees and brick and water and birds and beasts, and it's hard to put them together because it's simple, ladies and gentlemen, to put the outside perimeter up first. That's the easy part of living for God. But over here where it's just a mangled bunch of pieces and it looks like a mess, it's then and only then you have to hunker down and discipline yourself that you could take every piece of your puzzle and turn them over, color coordinate, size them up. Like most of us in this room that has put a piece of puzzle together that you knew for sure that this would fit there. And how many times, ladies and gentlemen, have we picked up a piece of puzzle and it fit pretty good right there. But it's amazing when you bring the puzzle together, something doesn't match up because, watch, that piece has the same form as a puzzle in here somewhere. So your life can't come together. Your prayer life can't come together because there's a missing piece. But if you just take the time and take your time and let God start molding you. Are you hearing me? The outside perimeter is the protection and the pavilion of God. But sometimes, folks, he's not going to pick up the puzzles and put them together himself. He is going to simply go, what are you going to do? You want me to do everything, but sometimes we have to start making clear, vital decisions. Sometimes they're critical, that we're going to be disciplined enough to go, here we go, I'm done. Is the puzzle worthy enough to take my time to see the finished product? Are you hearing me tonight? And what relief and what joy, and how many pictures and how many on the wall have you smeared, put on Facebook, put on chats to your friends of your completion and your accomplishments. Is when you take a picture, when you have inserted, I'm done, I promise, the last piece. And you have this beautiful, solid, complete puzzle that you looked at it, y'all ready for this? On the box. And go, this is what you're supposed to look like. This is what it's, when I get done with you, you're going to be as pretty as this right here. You're not getting it, are you? Are you hearing me tonight? So this journey in closing, some of us, if not all of us, and I know I'm talking at least to 3 people, need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, when God gets done with you, and He puts those broken pieces and those missing pieces where they need to be, this is what you're going to look like. Am I talking to anybody? I know mothers that's been to the altars for 40 years that has never got over the fact that their son or their daughter died in an overdose. And those pieces of the puzzle is missing in their life. They've lost people. Tragedy has struck. They've endured afflictions and infirmities. And it seems like that everything they touch, everywhere they go, everywhere they seek, everywhere they search, they can never find that missing piece. But I asked the Lord in my office today, what do you want me to say? And I just simply heard Him speak softly to my heart. And He said, tell the congregation, if you'll give me access to the puzzle, I'm telling you right now, I'm prophesying to you, I will do the same for you as I did for Jacob. I will find the broken and the lost pieces. And I will come to you and I will help you insert the missing pieces of your puzzle. And I will make you whole. But the problem is we're too aggravated because we beat ourselves up. We feel that we lost the piece. Some of us can't help the fact that we've lost some pieces. And some of us can. I'm done. I promise I'm done. I'm done. I know I keep saying it, but I'm done. I'm not going to ask you to come down here and waller on this altar. Some of us come because it's just something that we just know that we do. But if you want to come and stand at this altar and say, you know what? I'm going to give you access to the puzzle of my life. I know it don't look good. I've looked everywhere. I've tried everywhere. I can't even find the missing pieces. But if you want to come and stand here tonight, and you just want to take your time and say, here's my puzzle. Yeah, Lord, here's Jacob. And the very next chapter is number 50. And then we go into the book of Exodus where God begins the preparation of deliverance for His people. I'm done tonight. If you just want to say, Lord, I feel like that I do have a piece or two missing. It's like every time I look at myself and my lifestyle and what I've been through and where I feel like I want to go, there's so many hindrances that I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with it anymore. I've prayed, I've cried, I've fasted, I've sought, I've read books, I've talked to the preacher, I've talked to friends, I've confided, I've Googled it, and I just can't find it. But the Holy Ghost said, tell somebody in this room, if you'll give Him access, He's going to come to you. I feel it. And He's going to put that puzzle together for you. You got to quit trying to beat yourself up. You need to stop that. Because sometimes pieces just get away without us knowing it. They slip off the table, the coffee table. They just slip away and we don't even see it. They camouflage themselves into the cushions and we don't even see it. And it's like 6 months later we'll find it. But the Lord said He don't have to wait 6 months. He can come to you tonight. And I'm talking to people that I counsel about once a week or once every 2 weeks. If you'll just leave your family in the hands of God, you let the hand of God go find that. He already knows where the missing piece is. He'll put that piece back together. He'll make your family whole again. You that are dealing with infirmities has got to have surgery in the next 2 weeks that we've been counseling with. I'm telling you right now, if you just let Him have your puzzle. I don't know why He used that analogy, but it's none of my business. He'll find that broken and that battered and that torn and that being in half piece of puzzle that's been missing, that sometimes feels like it's been walked on or in the washing machine and washed and it's faded, but it's okay. He's going to fix it if you'll just give Him access to your puzzle. That's so lame, Brother Pullins. That is just so elementary. Yes, you're right. But that's the analogy that God gave me for you. Because, Lord, I need you to put that broken and that missing piece back in so you can complete my puzzle. Complete my puzzle, Lord. Complete my puzzle. Would you sing tonight? I'm not looking around. I'm not seeing who's praying, who's doing what. I'm just simply trying to behoove you. Would you give Him your puzzle tonight? I got it all together, Brother Pullins, but then that's okay. But there's some people in this room that don't have it together, including myself. We all got some things we have to work on.